homie. I read all of his books, like my favorite leadership mentor besides Kelsey Thornton. And then Rachel Hollis is just a lit human being. If you don't follow her on social, you need to go follow her like yesterday. Okay. So I was like, okay, I got to see if I can come. I got to see if I can get there. So I was able to buy a ticket last minute. I showed up and I didn't really know like what it was going to be about. But what's so crazy is that the day before I went to this event, I literally had just finished John Maxwell's new book. And I recommend you guys write this down. It's called The Leader's Greatest Return. Okay. I heard about this book on, I don't know, maybe it was an email I got from him. I'm like subscribed to all of his things. I'm like, I just want to be around him. Like, I just want to be you, John. Like, he's a great leader. And so when this was on the wait list, I was like, okay, I want to get on the wait list for this book. And as soon as it was released, it charged my Amazon account and it shipped right to me. And so I finished this book the day before I went to this event. And as soon as this event started, he's talking about this book. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just read this book. This is great. Perfect. Okay. So The Leader's Greatest Return. This is an amazing book for all leaders at all levels. So if you're a brand new distributor, this is a good leadership book to just give you some really good knowledge about what being a leader is. If you're a triple diamond leader, this will refresh your memory on different things. And what I love about leadership is that the more you learn about leadership, the more you realize like you don't really know a lot about leadership. Like as I learn, I'm like, dang, like I feel like I should know that, but I did not know that about leadership. And so just take all this with a grain of salt. My brain is kind of sporadic, so I'm just going to apologize in advance. I have literally this notebook that I wrote all over notes, and I also wrote on these pieces of paper. So just bear with me, but there's a lot of good content here and things that I feel like you guys can have value from. So the first thing, and Kelsey, stop me if you want to like go into more stuff as I'm talking, just, you know, you're good at that. So just pause me and elaborate if you need to. So the first thing, you know, John was talking about is the ability to make a positive change in your life. If you make the right change and shift in you, then you will be able to change lives and become better because you're better. So you're going to make other people around you better because you're improving your life. You're making changes in yourself first. You're making that shift in yourself first, which is the first step of being a leader, is how am I leading myself, right? Every single person on this Zoom is a leader. If you're a mom on this Zoom, drop a 1. Motherhood is like one of the like greatest leadership roles that women can provide. They are the leader of the house. They make sure food is cooked. They make sure their kids are alive, they're breathing, they're clothed, they're bathed. Like motherhood is like the perfect example of leadership. That's what John was saying. And you know, growing as a leader, as a partner. If you're a partner, you have a spouse. That takes leadership. That takes having responsibility to lead yourself, to be able to, you know, lead that person that you're with. And so you're already a leader in other areas of your life that you might not even realize that you're a leader. And something that I love that Rachel Hollis said was that, you know, it doesn't take owning a business to be a leader. It doesn't take having a team. It doesn't take like any of those external forces that you think is what a leader is. But you have the leadership ability to lead people on social media. That's what Rachel's known for. She was literally a food blogger before she became this huge social media influencer, and she influenced people to cook. She influenced people through her blogs. She touched people's lives through her posts, through her content, and she was leading people on social media to be better humans just through her content. And so know that the impact that you have on your social media, you have a story, you have things deep inside of you that you might not even realize are like really awesome abilities and talents that you should be pouring into social media, because all of those people, your friends, your followers, they're going to be able to give, or they're going to be able to get something from your content. And so you're going to be able to lead people from social. And that's part of like what I personally love to like put out positive, inspirational stuff on social, because I know so many people have messaged me and they're like, dude, when I see your post in the morning, like it literally just like makes my entire day. Like, thank you for just showing up. And that's the biggest first step of being a leader, is showing up, like showing up for yourself, showing up for the people on social media, being consistently showing up. That is the first step of being a leader. And then also showing up for your team. As you're signing new distributors, you want to start showing up. You want to be present. You want to be that person that they look up to, that they see constantly and that they're talking to. So let me just go back over here for a second. So John Maxwell was saying, like, how far are you willing to stretch? Because success is due to our stretching to the challenges of life, right? Anyone else think life is a freaking big old challenge that never stops getting hard? Like, if it's not one thing, it's another, right? And if it's not another, it's one thing. It's literally all over the place. Life is challenging every day. But failure comes when we shrink from them. When we shrink from the challenges, when we're running this way, when our battle's over here, that's what failure is. And guess what? Leaders that are successful, they see the challenge. They know the challenge is always going to come, and they are constantly running this way towards the challenge. Okay? They're not running this way, they're running this way. And I love when he made the analogy of that, or I think Rachel did, that leaders are like warriors. Like people that go to war, that are warriors, they know that they're running into a battle, and they know that they're going to be strong. They know that they are going to fight, and they know that the battle is already amongst them, but they know that going into it. And so she compared leadership to like being a warrior. Like, you know that there's going to be obstacles ahead. You know that there might be things that don't go your way. There might be people that quit your team. There might be unhappy customers. There might be a list of things that might not go super smooth as you'd want. But knowing that you're going to have the mentality to fix the problem. You're going to have the mentality that nothing that you come across is going to set you back. That none of the challenges that you're going to be facing are going to make you run the other way, because you're a leader and you're leading yourself. And you know that you can overcome any obstacle. One thing that I love that Rachel Hollis was like preaching on, she's like, can I get a witness? She was like, dude, she's like, there are so many free resources out there. Like, any single problem that you have or anything that you don't know about business, about life, about motherhood, about marriage is literally on Google. Literally free resources for every single person to figure it out. And if you're someone on here that maybe you're upline quit and you don't have a mentor literally up your butt talking to you all the time, guess what? That doesn't matter. That doesn't define your success. You can't put that on other people. Like, you have two hands. Google and learn, you guys. Part of leadership is learning. It's growing, it's stretching yourself, and you're not always going to have someone inbox you the text, inbox you the answer. Like, go use your resources and be a leader and go figure it out first on your own. Then if you can't figure it out, go to those people, but use your resources, you guys. Like, that's the biggest thing about leadership, is just doing, showing up and doing, taking action, being willing to learn. And I will tell you, in this business, you guys, this is a constant evolving business. The things that I'm doing today, I was not doing 5 years ago when I started this business. Things changed. Social media is evolving. The way we promote, the way we talk to people, post to post is like a crazy phenomenon. Like, that was not a thing back when I started 5 years ago. So knowing that you have to be open to change and be coachable, be willing to ask questions. Great leaders ask great questions. And here's what I want to tell you guys. As you have new distributors coming on, and as you're building your teams, and as you're growing in leadership, the best thing that you can do is ask good questions. What does that mean? Asking questions when people come to you with questions. Instead of just giving them the answer, instead of just giving them like, hey, say this, do this, go this way, direct them, ask them a question. Make them think about what it is that they're asking. So if someone comes to you and says, hey, like, what should I say? Like, literally what I say is, well, if you were in person with this person, how would you respond? Message me that, and then I'll help you fix it if there's something that we can make better. Like, make them say the things and do the things. Let their brains think, because we can't just copy paste and give them all the answers. That's not going to stretch them. That's like literally spoon feeding them. And if you spoon feed the entire relationship, then when they're going diamond, they're gonna expect you to spoon feed them everything else. And so knowing that from the beginning, when you're signing new distributors, of course, hold their hand that first month. It's so important to, have that open communication, help them find the resources, but always make sure that you're coaching them to know, so they know where the resources are when you're providing answers. So if they're asking for ingredients, or they're asking what this does, you can help them in the beginning, but say, hey, just for future references, this is all on your website. All you got to do is find the product. It's right there. All the instructions, the ingredients, everything you need to know about it, it's right there. So John Maxwell, let's talk a little bit more about him. There was a couple speakers. I'm just going to continue talking about all of his segments. So he says, John lives by the advice that his father gave him. You'll do well if you live by 3 things: value people, believe in people, and unconditionally love people. You guys, leadership is all about other people. I know you hate to hear that, okay? But we joined this business for ourselves, abso-freaking-lutely. We joined because we want to make money. We're sick of our situation. We want to get better. But as soon as you join this business, you guys, it's not about you anymore. Of course, you still have those goals. You still have those dreams. But like at the end of the day, for you to hit those goals and for you to hit those dreams, you've got to help other people. You've got to develop other people. And I will tell you right now 100 times, if you want to build this organization fast, you want to go diamond in 90 days, sign distributors. Signing distributors is where you are going to find multiplication in this business. If you sign a customer, that's great. They're ordering for 3 months. Cool. If you sign a distributor and you're teaching them how to sign their own customers, do you realize that you just gave your business the biggest blessing ever, because you just taught multiplication? And guess what that person's going to do? They're going to sign their own customers, they're going to sign their own distributors, and then they're going to teach their distributors to sign their own customers and sign their own distributors. That's how your organization is going to go fast. It's going to grow. And it all starts with you taking time teaching that person and spending time with that person and valuing them and loving them and encouraging them. And you're investing your time in that person. And that's what leadership is about. It's about adding value to others. And I challenge you guys every day, ask yourself, what value did I provide today to my team, to my social media? Did I put out any content that made someone feel something? Did I have a conversation with someone on my team that lifted their spirits? What value did I put out on the table today? I challenge you guys to ask yourself that every day. And if you feel like there's no value there, then you've got to go back to leading yourself first and figure out where that disconnect is. Is it you feel unfulfilled? Is it your mind's not right? And if that's the case, then you got to do some inside work and get your mind right, because that's the most important thing. You can't pour into other people if your cup is empty. Like, that just makes sense. There's nothing in your cup. There's nothing to give, right? And so you got to make sure you're filling your cup up every day and you feel like you're growing yourself, because you can't teach other people how to be better humans if you're not working on yourself and making yourself a better human, right? That just makes sense. So a couple parts of his book that he kind of covered on was, so the first part was like growing leaders. So if you're growing leaders and you're developing leaders, it only makes sense that your organization is going to grow. That's the power of multiplication. So identifying who these leaders are. So you have to find them first so you can develop them, right? And every person that comes into your organization, you should view them as a diamond. You should have that serious, like, I believe in you, like, I know you can do this, like, have that visualization for them from the get-go so that you can have that attitude and you can put that out there. I know that sometimes I've had people where maybe I had a month where I signed 5 distributors and like 4 of them weren't responding back to me. And then I go and sign another distributor. And because all those other 4 distributors like quit already or weren't responding, I automatically think that this new person is going to be the same way. Has anyone ever done that? Like, you base your next distributor on your last one. Like, the last one quit, the last one didn't, jump all in. So your next one you're signing, you're automatically putting this like stigma on them that they're not going to run, that they're not going to be like your next diamond. You guys have got to stop like labeling people as they come in. You have to view them as a valuable resource as soon as they join. And this kind of talks about the law of the lid. So how well you lead is how well you're going to be successful, okay? Everyone has this leadership lid, okay? We have this jar, you have this lid. And I'm going to tell you right now, when I was going diamond, my lid was way down here, okay? So that means that my team, I don't know if you can see this, my team, their lid could not, they could not break through my lid because my lid was on top. This is where my potential was. This is where my dreams were. This is what my vision was. It was right here. And all of my team underneath me, all they could fly freely was right here, because all they could see was what I was thinking, what I was doing, what I was accomplishing. And when I started pushing for higher levels, my lid started raising, my lid started raising. And as my team saw me hit promotions, they're like, oh my gosh, I can do it too. And then their lids start raising. And then you start blowing your lid off your bottle, then the potential flows freely for your entire organization. And so why are we putting a lid on our potential, thinking we can only hit the next rank that's above us? We're only pushing for that next level. Well, why aren't you looking long term and saying, I'm going to go for triple, and you're not even a diamond yet? That was literally me. When I went diamond, I started talking about triple. I didn't even care about double. I was like, I want to go triple. I want to go triple. I want to go triple, because I knew where I wanted to go. And so make sure you're not just putting a lid on yourself saying, well, I can only do $500 a month. I can only hit Ruby because that's what my upline did, or that's what so-and-so did. You guys, take that lid off, because as soon as you take that lid off and you see that potential for yourself, the people that you bring in are going to also have that potential flowing through their little bottle thing. I don't even know how to say it.
Can I add something, Tay?
Yeah.
So I want you guys to ask, because I think sometimes when people are listening to the Zooms, and I've done it before, we can kind of have that idea that we don't have a lid, or, it's not us that she's talking to, right? And so I want to ask everybody the question, are you growing and are you getting better? Are you growing and are you getting better? And you can answer in the comments, you can put it in the notes of your phone, you can do whatever, but you need to ask yourself, am I growing and am I getting better? And when you really ask yourself that, you have to realize that if you're a non-growing leader, you're going to have a non-growing organization. Okay. So the best way to give yourself a test is, did you fill your steps? Because if your organization is not growing, it's because you're not growing. Okay. The next question I want to ask you is, or the next thing I want to say on that is, what is best today must get better tomorrow. And Tay talks about this sometimes. And I think she said, I think this is another John Maxwell quote, is, yesterday's home run can't win today's game. Okay. So as good as you were yesterday, yeah, thank you, Leah, for being honest. As good as you were yesterday, that means you have to get a little bit better tomorrow. And it's not like astronomically, like, stop setting these goals and thinking that like one day is going to be way different than the other. Set small incremental goals that are going to compound over time. Okay. And you can't grow yourself if you don't know yourself. 1 second. You can't grow yourself if you don't know yourself. And what I mean by that is you have to continue to expand your self-awareness as a leader. You have to continue to expand that self-awareness and become more aware. Like, I'm way more self-aware than I ever was when I first joined this business. And honestly, because that process of getting self-aware, and if you feel this, drop a 2 in the comments if this is you. If your self-awareness is so high that you start to become harder and harder and harder on yourself because you start to see all of your weaknesses that you couldn't see before. If you feel that, put a 2 in the comments, because I feel like that happens. And it's like, am I getting better? Like, we start to question ourselves if I'm actually getting better, but you are, because if you can start to see those weaknesses happen, if you can start to see those, that is the first precursor to you actually fixing them. Okay. The second question you have to ask yourself is, do you genuinely care about other people? Do you actually care about the people on your team? And if the answer is that you feel like you don't, especially if you feel like you don't care about the ones that are difficult to lead, right? You haven't asked enough questions about who they are. If you know why they're doing this business, then you're going to care about getting that result. You're going to care about helping them, because everybody has a real reason to do this. Because the only way you can fail as a leader is if you stop loving the people that you're leading and you start loving the benefits of leadership more. I'm going to repeat that. If you start loving the benefits of leadership more, like power that people think that they have, or influence people think that they have, if you start loving those things more than you're actually loving the people that you're leading, that's a huge problem, and you'll start to see your organization spiral downwards. Okay. And you'll start to manipulate them and use them, and it's not a pretty sight. Okay. And then the other question, the last question is are you taking care of today? Okay. Sometimes we get so caught up in ranks and so caught up in these huge goals and like, I'm going to sign 50 million distributors and 27 million loyal customers and all these things. And I'm going to, exponentially increase my volume. And if that's working for you, continue to set those. But the biggest question I want to ask you guys is, are you taking care of today? Okay. You can't put off what you're supposed to do today into tomorrow. I only know that because I've done that. Okay. I'm like the world's biggest recovering procrastinator. Okay. I promise, you can ask any of my teachers. Like it's like a recovering addict, but like I'm a recovering procrastinator. But I'm here to tell you that your best way to succeed in life is to take care of today. Not look 27 years down the road, not look 5 years down the road if that stresses you out, but just take care of today. And when you do that, you're going to see so much more success. And because here's the thing, when I think about when I was going diamond, I really had no clue what the next 5 years, 4 years would take. And I know every single person who's gone on diamond on here agrees with me. Okay. If you've gone diamond on here, you really had no clue what you were getting yourself into. Okay. You had no idea how to leave. You had no idea the influence that you would have. You didn't really know everything that was to be known about leadership. And to be honest, we're also trying to figure it out. Okay. I don't have all this crap figured out, but you just were learning how to take care of today. That's what you do as a diamond leader. You take care of what needs to be done today. Okay, I'm done. Tay, sorry, go ahead.
No, I love it. I love it. Like I said, you and John, you're my favorite mentors for freaking leadership. Y'all know what you're talking about. Okay. So I'm gonna switch over to Chris Hogan. So I don't know if you guys are looking for some new books to read this year for leadership and self-development, but me and Kelsey just ordered this one for our next leadership book club. It's called, this is his book. It's called Everyday Millionaires: How Ordinary People Build Extraordinary Wealth, and How You Can Too. And I'll make sure I put all these books on our team pages if you guys want to grab them. But Chris Hogan, he was probably one of my favorite speakers, and I had never even heard of him. He's this big, like, black guy, and he's just like, woo. And he just had so much fire and energy, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, this guy is lit. And some of his like famous quotes that are like on this main page, it says, somebody somewhere is waiting on you to become what you were destined to be. Keep growing forward. I absolutely love that quote. Somebody somewhere is waiting on you to become what you were destined to be. Keep growing forward. You guys, chills. Like, I just think back to even just like when I started this business, like the person that got me started, like if she wouldn't have grown outside her comfort zone to start the business, to then grow outside her comfort zone to start reaching out to people, like I would have never found this opportunity. And that's what's so crazy, is like who you're going to become and like who you're growing to be right now. You're going to change so many people's lives, and you just offering this opportunity to everyone that you're talking to has the potential to change every single person's life. And I need you guys to know that. So when you're fearful to message and you're scared, you're timid, you're like, I don't want to annoy people, understand that what you have your hands on is so powerful, and it is truly something that can change someone's life. So next time you feel like, oh, I can't message, I'm scared, know what you have your hands on. That's the first thing that came to mind when I read that. And know that you're going to be growing. This is such a process. This business is a journey. It is a growing process, a constant growing process. And just enjoy that ride. Enjoy the growth. Enjoy feeling uncomfortable. I know that sounds stupid, but like in the beginning, it is so uncomfortable. If there's any newbies on here, it's uncomfortable learning to do these things. It's uncomfortable to be disciplined and to show up. It's uncomfortable to get on things like this. But you do it, and as you do it, you're going to grow, you're going to learn, you're going to be better. It's going to be easier. The first time you go live, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to shit my pants. And then you go live and you're like, it's not that bad. And then you do it again and you're like, oh, this was kind of fun. Or if you're like me, it still takes me like 30 seconds to hit start, but I still show up and do it, right? So just know that you're going to grow in this business, and seeing who you're going to be 5 years from now, like you're going to look back on yourself and be like, man, like I grew. And I challenge you guys to, start journaling and manifesting, like, who do you want to be in 5 years? Like, what does that person look like? Like, what are you driving? What kind of car are you in? What kind of house are you in? What organizations are you giving back to? What debt have you paid off? Like, who do you want to be in 5 years? And that's the person that you need to be showing up for every single day and fighting for. Because the days you don't feel like doing this and the days you feel like you don't want to grow yourself and you don't want to do self-development, you have to realize that, like, she's waiting for you to show up. Like, that person 5 years from now is waiting on you to show up. And so you have to fight for your life. Literally, Rachel Hollis, she like yelled at so many times, like, she's like, if you don't know what you're fighting for, fight for your freaking life. Fight for your life, dude. You have one life. Like, you're not guaranteed tomorrow. How are you showing up? If you died tomorrow, would you be proud of the person that you were today? Are you getting better? Are you evolving? Are you fighting for something? Like, ask yourself that question. And if the answer is no, homegirls, you got to get with the program. You got to start fighting for your life and showing up in a different way, because we aren't guaranteed tomorrow. So I just like love that segment. But anyways, back to Chris Hogan. So he says, he talks about servant leadership. I'm sure you guys have maybe heard that. We talk about that a lot on our leadership calls, but servant leadership is a lifestyle. It's a spirit. Okay. He says, servant leadership is a spirit. It's a lifestyle that you have to live. And he talks about how when you're a servant leader, it means that you're always leading up and you're empowering others, you're guiding them, then you're following through, and you're rallying around your team. So this is an example of a lot of corporate America jobs, okay? Up here you have the CEO, the leader, he's on top. He is managing all of these people. He's telling them what to do. He's authority, and then the team is down here. All of his people, his coworkers, his team members, they're all down here, and he's up here. He's just leading from the top down, right? And servant leadership is actually the opposite. You flip it upside down. You put your team up here and you're down here. You're leading up to your team. You're in the valley with your team. You're walking with them where they are, and you're putting your team up here. And I know that sometimes, like I said earlier, it's hard to grasp at times. But if you're putting other people first and you're putting value into the people you're enrolling, you're spending that time getting to know people and add value to their lives and get to know them, and you're loving on them, then you're always going to be leading with them up to them. Okay. But if you ever feel like you're being a manager and you're just like, blah, 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 you don't want to get into management mode. Okay. Been there, done that. It's not good. Okay. It's not good. And you want your team to trust you. You want them to look up to you. You want them to feel like they can trust you. And if they can trust you and you're leading with them with where they're at, if they want to go 30 miles an hour, you're in that passenger seat and you're going 30 miles an hour with them. You might have some people that want to go 100 miles an hour and you're running right there with them. You have to meet people where they are. And sometimes when people come into this business, they're not in a place where they can just run 110 miles an hour like we want to run, right? And you have to meet people where they are. And you can't give up on them. That doesn't make them any less of a valuable team member. You just have to meet them where they're at. And so 3 questions that he says you should be having weekly, if not bi-weekly, with anyone on your team or leaders is, number 1, asking, how are you? Number 2, what are you working on? Number 3, how can I help? How can I serve you? And those are questions that you want to be asking your leaders, your team members. You want to be asking them how they are. It's so hard to work this business if your mindset is in the gutter. If things are going on outside of the business, personal life, when people are dying, people are sick, and your mindset is just in the gutter, it's hard to show up for your business. It's hard to be there. But if you have someone that's asking you how you're doing and you have that person that you can confide in, it'll help you along the way. And that's another thing. If you feel like you're in this valley and you feel alone, never be afraid to reach out. Never be afraid to talk to your upline or to any of us and just say, hey, like, I'm struggling with this. Like, what advice can you give me? Asking questions, like I said, is such a good leadership tool that you even have to do if you're in a valley. You got to ask for help. You got to ask for that guidance. Let me see. So Benefits of servant leadership. He says it increases trust. So your organization builds only with trust and the speed of trust. So if your team trusts you, if you guys have a good tight knit community, you guys, it's going to be so much more fun to promote together. It's going to be so much fun to have people on board. The only reason I didn't quit this business, I'm just going to be honest, I wanted to quit when I was a Ruby. Okay. I was so close, literally this close to calling and canceling my account because everyone on my team quit. And I was like, well, I'm never going to find a distributor that wants this as bad as me. What's the point? And so the only reason I didn't quit was because of community, because I had such a good relationship with my enroller, with the team, the atmosphere. Like I loved the culture. I loved how fun it was. And I didn't want to get rid of those friendships if I quit this business. And so asking yourself, like, what culture can I create as I'm signing new distributors? As I'm building my team, as I'm building my leadership, what culture do I want to have for people to come into? And asking yourself, what kind of leader do I want people to view me as? Can they trust me? Am I a good communicator? Am I trustworthy? Am I respectful? Am I honest? Am I open? Am I fun? Like, what are those characteristics that you guys want to be known for? And make sure that you know that type of person you want people to view you as. And if you know those characteristics, then just start showing up as that person. And something that John Maxwell was talking about, it was called the law of attraction, is the person that you are is the type of people that you're going to attract into your business. So if you're fun loving, if you're outgoing, if you're a hard worker, if you're disciplined, if you're driven, when you have those characteristics and you're showing up on social and you're leading and people can feel and see the type of person you are, those are the people you're going to attract into your business. Like minds attract like minds. And so, getting down to that core root of, what kind of people do I want to recruit? I did this exercise a long time ago. They said, write out your dream distributor. What is this distributor? What qualities does she have? Like write down 10 qualities you would love to have in a distributor. What makes your dream distributor a dream distributor? And then seek people that have those qualities and be selective. You don't have to just sign every single person that you come in contact with. If they're negative, and you don't have to sign them. Look for people that you feel like you can add value to, that you'll also get valued from them coming into your organization. Servant leadership also says being a leader means you go first. It builds loyalty. Do you have their back? You're either building it daily or taking away. So he was talking about how it's like a bank and it's always adding or subtracting. And so as you're showing up, even for your business, you have to ask yourself, like, did I add to my business today or did I subtract? Did I show up for my business today or did I not show up? And so you want to always be adding to the bank, right? Like everything is like you're adding a penny, you're adding a penny. You're messaging, you're adding a penny. You're growing your market, you're adding a penny. You want to create that piggy bank that's freaking stacked full of freaking pennies, right? And so the same thing as for leadership is, are you adding value to that person? Every time you're adding value, you're having communications, you're helping them, you're showing them, you're teaching just by doing, right? Leadership is just showing up and showing people how you're working your business. If you're like, I don't know how to be a leader, and you've signed a customer, teach that new distributor how you got your first customer. That's leading, that's showing, that's teaching, that's adding value. That's adding the penny to the bank. So just always be adding, you guys. Don't be subtracting, okay?
I also, like, if you guys haven't got this book, this is the book we're doing for book club. It's called The Power of Layered Leadership. If you feel like you're struggling with leadership, or like we talked about last night, if you were on that Zoom, it's like, if you haven't signed distributors because you feel like you're held back by the fear of not being able to properly train somebody, this will literally change your business. Okay. It's called The Power of Layered Leadership. And one of the first things he says in this book is that leaders have to be above the negative circumstances. And I think that we all have to realize that we all have negative things going around us. Every single person on here has something negative that has happened to them today. Okay. And I think that we just have to understand that we have to focus on the positive results that we desire and that we want, not the existing negativity that is around us. Okay? If your problems are here, you have to be here. Okay? And you can't be ignorant enough. I'm just going to say it how it is. You can't be ignorant enough to think that your problems are bigger than anybody else's. And I know that might sound harsh, but everybody has to stop. You all need to stop waiting for the perfect time to work this business. Stop waiting for it to feel better. Stop waiting for it to be a better time, and just lead yourself. Okay? And then you have to ask yourself, because everybody has influence, whether that's with your kids, whether that's in a business, whether that's with a sideline relationship that you have. And you have to ask yourself, is my influence positive or negative? Is my influence positive or negative? And the other thing I want you guys to realize is each of you holds the key to the biggest leadership tool in the book. Does anybody know what that is? You all hold the key to the biggest leadership tool in the book. Do you know what that is? It's transferring your belief onto other people. Okay? That's the biggest leadership tool that anybody can have. And the way that you do that is you see the good in people. My leadership elevated to the next level by one prayer. Jesus, help me see people the way that you see them. Help me see people the way that you see them. It doesn't cost you anything to believe in people. It doesn't cost you anything to focus on the good. It doesn't cost you anything to reinforce somebody's value and tell them how good they are at certain things. And the chances are that if you can't find anything good in them, it's because of how you're feeling about yourself. Okay, Tay, go ahead.
You could just keep talking. I just love listening to you. I don't really have that much left to share. I do want to speak on, what was her name? Angela Andrance. She is the senior vice president of Apple Retail. She was literally a doll. She was so cute, so smart. And you could just tell she was very, very humble about all that she has accomplished. But she's pretty much talking about just staying in your lane, like focus on you and developing yourself. And in that process of working really hard on yourself, in that process, it's going to spread onto your team and onto your organization. And your promotion will happen by default if there's momentum and you're growing and you're focused and you're just staying in your lane. Like, I know how easy it is to be looking around at everyone else, what's everyone else's enrollments, what everyone else is doing. In reality, if we just focused on doing our steps of success, focused on our promotion, focused on pouring into our team, into our business, into ourselves, all of the promotion will happen by default. So stop comparing your journey to other people. Stop looking left, stop looking right, and just focus on you. Focus on getting better. Focus on what you can get done today. Focus on being better today than you were yesterday, right? Like, you're in a healthy competition with yourself. Every day you should be trying to be better than you were yesterday. And she talks about, to whom much is given, much is required, right? Is there anyone on here that's going for diamond and above? Yeah? That's top 1% of the company, okay? You're given a lot of responsibility. And as you're leveling up, you guys, it just requires more from you. It requires you showing up more. It requires having that step of faith as a leader and being more just out there as a leader, right? You're having a diamond and above organization. You're going to be required to do more things and to take on that leadership role to help all of the people that are going to come through your organization. And then the last thing that she talked about, this is like the cutest thing. She said, like, the best piece of advice she had ever gotten was from her dad. And her dad said, you'll never be happy unless you give 60% and take 40. And he said, if you give 60% and take 40 with your relationship, with your team, with your work, with everything that you do, you will always be successful. Always be successful. Because at the end of the day, you're giving more than you're even thinking about receiving. And that's the kind of person that you should strive to be. And he also said, I've done my job well as a parent if you look at a picture and the last person you're trying to find is yourself. And I was like, oof, dang, like that's so good. Like how many of you guys literally like look at that picture, you're like, where am I at? Where am I at? Right? But it's just showing him, or it was just showing her that leadership is about looking at other people before looking for yourself. And he just made that analogy and I was like, ooh, that's so good. So that's really all I had. The energy was just so great. I wish that I could even give a fraction of all of the things that I heard and learned and all of that. But you guys, the biggest thing that I challenge you guys is to, as you're in this business, take advantage of growth opportunities like that. If you hear events near you, like business, entrepreneurship, anything, you don't have to just go to It Works events to get fulfilled and get your cup full and to grow. I challenge you guys to look for other events near you and go learn leadership events, or even just get a book and start there, because you'll never like regret growing. You'll never regret growing. And so just taking that next step and just showing up for yourself is the biggest thing. And knowing that who you are today is not who you're going to be 5 years from now, and just keep fighting for that person and keep showing up for her, because she deserves all that is coming. So
I love it. Can we all drop a 5 in the comments if you got something from tonight? Like that was so fire. Like that was so freaking good. Thank you so much for sharing your heart. And I'm just going to close us out with this. This is again from this book. It's so good, you guys. Again, like you're never going to regret it. Like Tay said, investing in yourself. But I want to read you the story that he gives. He says, he talked about this really, really good football player who had all of this athletic ability. And he said, but he possessed one problem. If he missed a tackle, he would bring his negative attitude back to the huddle. Cursing and complaining, he would have said, I should have done this or I should have done that. And as the game progressed, he would have become worse. It's a shame to see such a great athlete lose it so easily. After a bad play during practice, I pulled him over to the side of the huddle, held his face mask, and made him look at me. There is not one man on this field, I said to him, who has your skills. From your dedication to your work ethic, you excel. But until, son, you learn how to leave the previous play behind you and look forward to the next play, you will never become a candidate for college athletics. From that day forward, he began to cool off and understand that the past was the past, and he owed it to himself and his team and coaches to focus on the next play. It is impossible to move forward and become positive if we refuse to leave the negative in the past. I've learned that 50% of folks really do not wish to hear negative thoughts, and other 50% are somewhat glad that whatever that was negative happened to me. Don't forget to drop the negative and forget about what has not worked in the past. Each day is a new start. And so if you're on this Zoom, I'm reading that to you to say, which 50% are you? Are you the 50% that said, I screwed up, I did it all wrong, I ruined my business, my whole business collapsed, blah, 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 blah? Or are you the 50% that says, I'm so glad that I went through that because I came out on the other side a better person? And so don't get off this Zoom in self-defeat and self-combust and talk about all this stuff that you wish you would have knew. Because here's the thing, if you know better, you do better. And we're teaching you this not to self-shame and not to say I could have known this or done better, but just focus on the next freaking play. Next play. You can't go back and change the past. Next play. Each day is a new start. So I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to close out in prayer. Dear Jesus, I ask that you just bless every single person that's on this Zoom. Whoever is hearing this right now, I just pray that you bless them abundantly. I pray that you enlarge their territory, that you increase them, and that you keep them from evil. But Jesus, I just ask that you give them confidence, that you give them a belief like they've never had, and you give them the work ethic and the discipline that's necessary. Help us become wise. Help us learn from you and what you did, but just also help us step into today, the rest of today and tomorrow with a new vision, with, wiping off everything that's been in the past, off the glasses, all the fog, and just help us see more clear than we ever have before. Help us know where we're going and what it's going to take to get there, but be excited for the future. We love you so much. We're so grateful for everything you've done for us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I love you guys. Thanks again, Tay.
Bye.